Hello everyone, welcome to Story Retold. Calina here, continuing reacting to Arglefumph's Everything Wrong with the Nancy Drew Games series. This is the White Wolf of Icicle Creek. So be sure to check out the rest of his videos in the playlist link down below in my description. And go and give him some love. Alright, here we go.
La, I don't have theme music, la la la.
It's really quiet.
Where did the theme music go? Nancy
Good
describes
question.
the game's
Okay.
location as the Canadian Rockies of Canada. Nancy is bad at geography.
Okay.
The scenery repeats every 9 seconds. Ollie must be driving in a circle.
Just reused art of the forest.
Much older than my little girl Freddie.
Nancy is 18. Freddie is much younger than that.
Maybe 5 years or so. I mean, maybe he's just calling her really young.
The scenery goes backwards while the truck goes forwards.
Good
This
catch.
conversation takes 1 minute, but according to the timer in the upper right corner, it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that was a common thing in the Nancy Drew games. 1 minute equals 5 minutes in game time. And I forget what it was. I think 1 minute was like 15 minutes in Messenger in a Haunted Mansion, so it's relevancy.
I would tell my boss about a building explosion right away, but Nancy and Ollie decide to wait a day before calling Chantal.
A day?
One of his deputies found the knob to the back door clear out on the highway.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe they did wait a day because that night they immediately decided to call the police, the sheriff first, which I suppose would be a right thing to do. The culprit could be still around, or it's a crime scene, so they need to investigate first.
We were on the highway when the bunkhouse exploded. I didn't see any doorknobs. The lodge is much closer to the bunkhouse than the highway is, yet the debris hit the highway and not the lodge.
I mean, it's possible some hit the lodge too, and they probably just cleaned it up because it was nearby.
Chantal's question needs a question mark.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking that maybe I'd just be your new maid.
Nancy does everyone else's chores cliche.
Hey, it's a great, not ruse. It's a great cover-up.
Over half of this opening scene is a close-up of the phone.
Listening in on Chantal, yeah.
Ollie spends the entire scene standing away from Nancy, then he gets closer so he can wink at her, then he backs away again. Ollie is
I think this is just a cinematic camera style.
creepy.
He is a little bit.
You're my new cook, too!
Your cook?
Nancy is enthusiastic about being a maid, but upset about being a cook.
It takes up even more of the time that she had in planning to investigate.
I would be upset about both.
Wait, you'll have even more excuses to talk to the guests.
Nancy never talks to anyone while she's cooking, making this a stupid line of reasoning.
Oh,
Won't have
yeah.
to pay anyone.
Chantal is a jerk.
She
You
is.
call this police detective I've hired as a consultant.
Tino is getting paid, but Nancy isn't.
That made me so mad.
That is ridiculously unfair.
I agree.
No, Balducci.
Tino Balducci.
Yes.
I'll get you a master key and leave it in your room.
According to the clock, only 1 minute passed, so in 1 minute, Ollie ran upstairs, fully prepared Nancy's room, then ran back downstairs without her seeing him.
It could have
The front
happened.
page of the maid instructions changes once Nancy picks them up. Ollie printed out this set of maid instructions, even though he didn't know Nancy would volunteer to be the maid.
It doesn't say Nancy's name on it. It just says what the maid duties are, because I think anyone who is a maid should have this copy. This is the Icicle Creek copy, I believe.
Maid Nancy never washes the bed sheets or the blankets.
She collects them, that's for sure, but maybe Ollie runs the washer.
Maid Nancy takes dirty towels away, but who gives the guests clean towels?
I mean, Ollie works there
Why
too.
do all the
so-
guests use the same number of towels and washcloths every single day?
Is there something wrong with that?
How do the guests use up their towels and washcloths? There aren't any showers connected to their rooms.
No, but you would have showers in the bathroom down the hall.
For that matter, none of the hotel rooms have phones or TVs.
It is a lodge.
The maid notes say you must shovel the skating pond after every snowfall. It snows multiple times in this game, but Nancy only shovels the skating pond once.
Is it really only once? I thought she did it twice.
Looks like somebody has their work cut out for them.
Oh, that was loud. Hang on. That was loud for me, so I'm going to turn it down for you.
And when it comes to shoveling off this pond.
Oh my gosh.
That's your job, Nancy.
It will be, yeah.
Instructions say to periodically check the sauna. Nancy never checks it once. People honestly
She does when she gets the note.
believe that a wolf ripped car tires, iced downstairs, set off explosives, and spoiled the potato salad. This is ridiculous. Nancy's boots and coat magically appear on her body whenever she steps outside.
You wouldn't necessarily see that yourself, would you?
You shall not pass unless and until she
Oh dear. The audio is loud again.
proves herself worthy.
Freddy's voice. You
Yeah.
have to fight Freddy every single time you want to use this path. Ollie lets his
Yeah.
daughter stay outside all day, even though there is a wild wolf on the loose.
She's not too far from the house, from the lodge.
Ollie lets his daughter stay outside all day, even though he has no idea how she won't freeze to death. Ollie is an irresponsible parent.
I mean, okay.
I better not follow this trail until I know for sure where it goes.
Why does the lodge mark some pathways, but not others?
That's a good
Nancy
question.
could easily use the map to learn this path goes to Avalanche Ridge, but she doesn't. The clock face glows here, but not when you zoom in on it.
It's yeah. I mean, that was intended. It glows probably because it catches the light, but it's intended for the player to notice it. It draws attention right away.
The path to the lake is not covered in snow. Who maintains this pathway? It takes 32 minutes to walk down the path, so that's a lot of work. Icicle Lake is filled with bombs, and nobody cares. If you ask me, those bombs are far more dangerous than the wolf.
I agree.
In all the discussions of how the culprit makes explosions, nobody mentions the bombs in the lake. You can go the
Yeah.
entire game without talking to Guadalupe.
Yeah, that was a bit of a logic hiccup. I mean, yes, it's possible, and yeah, it kind of makes sense that you can do that. But I really think there could have been some like logic parameters coded in place for player to have to meet her at least once before the game progresses. I think that would have been wise.
My name is Guadalupe Comillo. My friends call me Lupe.
So I should call you Lupe?
I hardly think so, dear.
Lupe is a jerk.
Yeah.
Birds. I'm watching birds. That's what I am, you see, a bird watcher.
Lupe watches birds through the most fogged up window in the entire lodge.
But hang on, are you about to catch the biggest giveaway for her and her suspicion? She mentions, well, if you ask her what kind of birds, she'll say what kind of birds. And you can compare that with what birds are in season around this area, looking at the computer information. It'll tell you which birds are around, and she will mention a bird that's not supposed to be here. So that's a dead lie that she's not really looking at birds.
Lupe is a wildlife expert, but she doesn't know what birds live in this area.
I don't spend all my time in front of this window.
Lupe never appears anywhere besides this window.
You overhear her someplace else.
The guests are all men. Single men. When my ex moved out of the house, he turned into a complete slob within a week. They can't help it, poor things. It's an unfortunate aberration of the genes.
Lupe hates me.
Lupe hates men in general, I guess. She's terrible. I agree, that's awful.
Bill's birthmark is a plot point, yet it's on the cheek facing away from Nancy, where players are likely to miss seeing it. Bill's hand changes
I mean, you can kind of see it right there. I always was able to notice it.
positions while he's talking.
Oh, yeah.
And geese game is pretty darn fun.
Lies, all lies.
Hey, it's subjective. It's subjective who likes this game and who doesn't. I know this game is not a popular one, Fox and Geese, with a lot of players. Actually, it's one of the most despised games in the series. That's speaking from history of communicating with fans. But I actually like it. I do. I mean, it's annoying that you have to play it like 5 times, though. That's the annoying part.
Lupe Lou and Bill will badger Nancy about cleaning off the skating pond, even if it's 8 p.m. at night when none of them can go outside. Nobody else noticed Elsa's notes. Why did
it looks like trash.
Elsa keep these love letters here instead of in her room?
Maybe because she was goofing off during her work hours?
Nancy picks up crumpled papers from the floor, reads them, then she crumples them up again and puts them back on the floor. Nancy is a horrible maid.
She's returning evidence.
Manually dialing 10-digit phone numbers.
Okay, yeah, that was a little annoying because I think you're supposed to enter the 1 before those numbers, and the numbers do not show that on the screen right there, on that list.
The dial tone keeps going even after you start dialing a number.
Oh, yeah.
You can talk to basically everyone who's related to the lodge except Becky the cook. Why did she get left out?
That's a good question. She would have been great to interview. That's a good point. We've had all these other characters to talk to and suspects, or victims, I should say, but not her.
Icicle Lodge keeps track of a person's hometown, but not their current address.
Is it relevant? It's good to know generally where they're from, but do they have to have an exact address?
Then the phone wires were cut, and
We don't follow up on this storyline.
Oh, that's true.
Chantal will yell at Nancy for not cooking, even if you didn't cook because you were on the phone with her. Chantal will yell at Nancy for not cooking or cleaning, but she never yells at Nancy for not doing detective work.
Because she only cares about the lodge and herself, I guess.
You know, the thing that Nancy was actually hired to do?
Do you know what he did when we were on that train trip Laurie Gerard arranged?
he didn't go into a lot of detail, but he did say that that's all water under the bridge.
Nancy doesn't bother to tell Chantal the truth about what happened.
Laurie's last name is misspelled.
Oh no!
Cooking. This puzzle takes forever, and you have to do it multiple times.
Some people actually like the cooking activities and puzzles in the games. Maybe the design team thought it would be enjoyed this way, but yeah, I agree. It happens so often, and you have to do it, so... And it doesn't get you anything, either.
You constantly have to put your investigation on hold in order to do cooking.
Yeah.
The lodge has the exact same meals every single day.
Yeah.
People were poisoned by potato salad, but potato salad is not one of the meals that is offered at Icicle Creek Lodge.
Maybe that's what the previous menu was. This week's menu is this.
Ollie and Freddie don't have rooms.
That you know about. There could be another outbuilding.
Nancy doesn't get to eat any meals herself.
That you see.
I can clearly hear people who are not guests at the lodge. How can Ollie tell that Nancy messed up on a recipe? The ingredients aren't visible.
I mean, flavor. They taste it. Maybe.
Names are capitalized for no apparent reason.
Oh, well.
Leave the French toast alone for 5 seconds, burn down the entire building. You can go through the entire game without talking to Yanni.
Can you? That would be awesome, because I think he's annoying.
Yanni is a jerk.
He is.
Yanni's butt. This wolf trap has 5 pieces. Why does it take Ollie so long to assemble it?
Are you sure those were all the pieces?
I could run this place single-handed if I had to, just like I'm doing now.
Ollie brags he could do everything by himself, but he still forces Nancy to do his chores.
He does other chores. I presume he's the one who ran the washing machine and replaced all the towels with new towels.
Tino Balducci, remember me? From that last train to Blue Moon Canyon we went on?
How does Tino know the name of that video game?
From that last train to Blue Moon... Yeah, he does capitalize it, huh? That's interesting.
I'm the one who helped you find that long-lost treasure.
Wrong! Nancy found a mine with a letter in it. She did not find treasure.
It is a treasure piece.
How is Tino supposed to help with the investigation when he's nowhere near the lodge?
Character profiling. Profiling is a detective thing that's done.
Hi, is this Mr. Jenkins?
Yeah, this is Carl.
Carl's game doesn't have a pause button.
I mean, if this is if his game is anything like the game that I play, Commander Keen, it does have a pause button. He just doesn't want to pause it.
This puzzle.
It's like mine. It's
Let's hear
Minesweeper.
the shoveling sound effects 90 times in a row, shall we? Nancy somehow knows how many holes are in the ice before she starts shoveling.
Yeah.
Buried in snow.
It's so that she knows how to do, so the player knows how to do the puzzle.
Nancy's dialogue shows up in the subtitles.
Oh,
These blocks of ice
yeah.
fall upwards.
The dog is digging it out.
Wolf saves Nancy only to threaten her. This hole doesn't look very deep, but when Nancy turns around, suddenly she's down past her neck.
No more avalanches for me, thank you very much. I'm not going out there again. Too dangerous.
Nancy refuses to revisit Chicken Ridge due to fear of avalanches, but she goes to Avalanche Ridge without fear of avalanches.
To be great is to be misunderstood.
There is nothing great about you, Lou, you dirt-digging, dinosaur bone-stealing Harry Potter wannabe. This puzzle. Snowmobiling.
Oh, I know.
You snowmobile for a minute so you can see a sign, then you turn around and snowmobile for another minute.
Yeah.
Who built all these random snowmen in the middle of nowhere?
Her interactive.
Nancy gets fired as a reward for not dying. Why is Freddy afraid Nancy won't snowball fight with her anymore? It's not like Nancy has a choice.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing with kids, though. They're afraid you'll never play with them again for any bit of reason.
Where does Freddy get her endless supply of Toasty Packs?
That is a good question. Maybe she online orders it.
Her father doesn't know about them, so he's not buying them.
Maybe she found a stash from Becky or one of the previous employees.
Toasty Packs don't last all that long. Freddy must use dozens of them each day. Bill thinks that Nancy has to do whatever he says just because she's a maid. Bill is a jerk.
Yeah.
No one seems to care that the ice fishing shack was sabotaged.
Oh, too bad, yeah.
Here's the scene of the bullet falling out of Lupe's pocket. The bullet appears to be invisible. The carpet goes against the lines on the wood floor, but now it's going with the lines on the floor.
Huh.
That's all I'm going to tell you, Nancy.
Lupe is borderline mean to Nancy at the lodge, but as soon as she gets kicked out, suddenly she's Nancy's best friend.
Yeah, weird, huh?
No more. There's my tackle box.
Ollie gives Nancy the tackle box without moving his arms. How did Yanni know Nancy would be here in the ice fishing shack at this point in time?
Could be following
Was he
her.
waiting outside for hours, hoping someone would stop by? Yanni goes from mostly harmless sabotage to attempted murder with no prompting whatsoever. This puzzle.
Yes, I know.
This puzzle reused from the previous game.
Yeah.
Why does the lodge keep snowshoes under lock and key? That's weird.
So people don't steal them and try to use them. I mean, if they're an antique, I wouldn't necessarily want people to be using my stuff. I get it.
Lou won't let Nancy borrow his snowshoes when he's not using them.
I know,
Lou is a
rude.
jerk.
He
The
is.
fox and geese pieces disappear when you talk to someone. Bill is putting way too much thought into his next move, considering there's an open piece he can jump over.
Yeah.
What planet do you most identify with?
I guess it would be Mars. You know, that whole God of War thing?
I should have known.
Why should Nancy associate Bill with the God of War?
If we had talked to him about the wolf, he sounded pretty aggressive. You know, you should get rid of it as soon as possible. I think he alluded to like some more aggression towards the wolf. So that's what I would presume. Hunting, you know?
Tino's survey.
I know. I didn't like that survey.
Nancy should know better than to expect smart questions from Tino.
Why is she
Says
surprised?
you're to fill most of it out by observing the people staying at the lodge, rather than just asking them the questions outright. He says that would put them on their guard.
And make the puzzle too easy.
Yeah.
These questions are stupid.
Yes.
How can you identify a saboteur by their love of paprika or their favorite planet?
Yeah, it should have been something like, let's see, instead of paprika, it should have been like cilantro. Because there are people who have different genes where it tastes like soap or it tastes good. Or let's see, for planet, that's just kind of silly. It's kind of an open-ended answer without anything being correct. I should have asked him, do you like, you should have asked him about hunting and what their take on the wildlife is, you know?
Directly to Tino, and he wants you to call him before you do so he can turn his machine on.
Tino is so cheap he can't leave his fax machine on all the time.
Or, if I had a fax machine and it was busy, it actually used a lot for work, I would want it turned off, not making any noise while I watched my favorite TV show or movie. But that's me.
Nancy decides to identify the owner of this journal by their scent and not by their handwriting. How is this shack still warm? Its owner died weeks ago.
Yeah, well, any bit of shelter from the wind is certainly a helpful thing.
The first page of this diary is halfway through the book.
Unless Nancy skimmed through it and there was useless information that she decided was useless. Maybe.
Julius wrote this entry in red for no apparent reason.
Is it really? I mean, no reason at all? Or maybe it just helps break up the page. No, there is a reason. Look, there are commands here. I say Isis, forward, down, right, back, left, turn around, and go. And she does. This is the part that we need to call out to the player. The players need to see this part.
Pinevale Hospital.
Nancy says this when you turn to a page that does not mention Pineville Hospital.
If it said it on the previous page, the summation right here would have helped draw that conclusion for her that this was an important thing to look into.
Who put this fax in an envelope and left it by the door for Nancy? And why don't they ever mention it to Nancy?
Yeah, this is a note from Tino. You're right. It's not labeled for Nancy, is it? It should have been.
You'd think, hey, a police officer is sending you crime reports on a guest here would come up in a conversation. This puzzle.
It is a hard puzzle, but I think it's well designed.
Nancy finds a hidden passageway cliché.
Yes.
This puzzle.
Yeah.
Forward, right.
I mean, if you do it ever so slightly wrong, then it is annoying, yes. But if you map out the instructions exactly right, then it should be a piece of cake, in theory. But understand how easy it is to mess this up. So.
Left, right, jump, forward, go.
How does Isis remember all those commands?
She's smart.
I can't remember a list of 7 commands in a row. How does this board know where the wolf is? Are there motion sensors in the tunnel?
Yeah, maybe pressure plates on the ground or something?
It takes Nancy about an hour and 15 minutes to return to the lodge. Isis holds on to this rope the entire time.
That's what I've always thought about.
It takes Nancy 50 minutes to get from the lodge to the shack, but it only takes 10 minutes if she goes through the mines.
Oh, yeah. Inconsistency.
Although he swears the door got stuck by accident in order to cast suspicion on someone else.
This wasn't a murder attempt. Yanni just wanted Nancy to see suspicious photos of Bill. Since that's the case, why not leave the photos here in the entryway?
To cause more trouble.
Why go through all the trouble of hiding them in the sauna?
To get her trapped.
Nancy can take Ollie's rag for the washcloth puzzle, even if she's already solved the washcloth puzzle.
Oh, really?
The one picture of Bill fits the caption. The other picture has nothing to do with the caption.
Obvious Photoshop. This puzzle. Nancy is dying in a sauna, yet she still keeps her coat on.
How do you know? I mean, that's her sweatshirt. That's she wears indoors, not her coat.
Bill suddenly appears inside the sauna without opening the door. How did Yanni find out about the special master key that's hidden here?
Daniel Weissnitz, better known as Trapper Dan, I'll bet.
Nancy already saw Trapper Dan's real name in Lou's journal and the display case, but she acts like she's never seen it before.
Not necessarily acts. She's pointing something out to the player, making the connection between the two so the player can pick up what she's putting down, or what she's finding.
This puzzle. It's tedious to have to decode multiple pages of text.
Tedious, but it's an actual cipher, so we're learning something in it. I think it's great.
Yanni never bothered to touch the moose coin that's hidden in this compartment. How is the painting connected to the door locks?
I don't know.
Who do you think I am? A gun-toting thug, a washed-up actor, an antique stealer?
Mystical spoils the culprit of every previous game.
It doesn't call out which games are which, though. Yeah, he kind of does spoil it, doesn't he?
This puzzle.
I think you already mentioned that, but yeah.
Why does Nancy have to play fox and geese here? Why can't she just put the token into place when Bill isn't around?
Oh my gosh, he set the timer. It looks like he's about to blow up the needle. Isis, we've got to get out of here, fast.
Nancy knows she will die if she doesn't escape right away, but she still stops for a moment and explains the situation to herself. Nancy exits through an unknown tunnel instead of leaving through the door she just entered. Nancy conveniently closes her eyes here so they don't have to animate Ollie driving up. Ollie will stand in place and look
He's driving up behind her.
at you forever.
Oh
if
no,
you
maybe,
let him.
right.
Yanni is a world-famous speed skier, but he doesn't use his skis to leave the area.
This is faster?
Where did Yanni's snowmobile come from? Did
The
he
rentals.
have it hidden in the snow here just for the endgame challenge? This puzzle. You have to chase Yanni for minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes before he crashes.
Yeah, I know.
Yanni can go through trees, but Nancy can't.
I know, it's not fair.
Yanni lands next to a tree, but when we zoom in, there's no tree.
Yeah, good point. 206? Tino's personal maid. That's a good sentence. I mean, yeah. Okay, that's all of it. Okay, well, yeah, I could see a lot of inconsistencies or errors. There's a lot of preferences involved here, but I get it. All right, that wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. That's still quite a high number. Anyways, I will see you in the next video. Keep an eye out for the Phantom of Venice. Bye.